There we go. Had some slight... Oh, you might want to turn that down.
No, it's good. You can leave it that way.
Had some slight technical difficulties there.
So our apologies for that. There was a glitch with the microphone. I have no clue. Anyway, welcome to Black Dragon Tavern. I'm your host, Dante.
I'm your host, Deacon.
And here we are on episode 5 already.
Yeah.
So this is like a real-life, genuine indicator of like the title of this week's show. I was bored. Obviously, I was like pretty bored this week, and I really didn't do much with any of the stream equipment,
Nor did I.
including moving the microphone back over to the table so we could do fireside chat, which we're bringing to you right now. So for those of you who are new, joining the stream for the first time, we do the show in a couple different segments. The first part of the show, we do fireside chat, brought to you obviously from in front of the fireplace here in the Nerd Nest. And in the second segment of the show on Fridays, we do from the Workbench, where we'll kit bash, we'll paint, we'll build models, and all sorts of really cool stuff like that for the games that we play. And on Saturdays, when we stream on Saturday, the first half of the show is fireside chat, and the second half is from the battle zone. And we turn a camera around, put it on the gaming table here, and then play a friendly game of whatever strikes our fancy that week.
Yeah.
And I think we're talking about this week doing Space Hulk.
Yeah. It is a very Warhammer week so far.
So far, yeah, because you've got some stuff coming up shortly that we're going to talk about that has to do with Warhammer.
It's stuff that's happened before. I'd played my first game of 40k in quite some time. Actually ran out to a store and managed to get nearly turn in because we got there late, but I actually put models on the table for the first time in quite a while, so that was pretty fun.
That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah.
If not very short for a game, but before we kick things off, I just want to give a couple shout outs and say thanks to everybody who was on last week who watched. We really appreciate the support as we continue to try to grow our community of followers here and viewers. So if you watch the channel and you've got a friend who you think might be interested, who's into gaming or pop culture news or gaming news or any of that kind of stuff, or just might want to put some background noise on while they're doing their own hobbies, please send them over to twitch.tv/BlackDragonTavern. Have them hit that follow button, and we really appreciate that. You can also check us out on Instagram at instagram.com/BlackDragonTavernOnline. If you're a person who uses Twitter, you can check us out on Twitter at Tavern_Black. It's a little bit of a different play on the name there, but those were the dice that landed when we rolled them and got the name. But so anyway, last week, so a little bit quick recap of last week. We were really behind in a lot of things, and this was just a crap week for trying to get stuff done.
Yeah.
Mainly because I started a new job, and that sucked up a lot of my mental capacity to be able to do things and not want to do anything in the evening. But so we're behind on setting up our Discord server. We did mention that last week. We're setting that up as a place to post links and media and that kind of stuff.
General chatting area too.
Yeah, general chatting area for when we get to the point where we can have VIP followers and whatnot. And so hopefully we can work on that in the next couple of days here. I hate to keep putting it off.
Yeah.
There's not a lot else that honestly, Deacon, was going on because again, like that's what inspired me to do the cover photo for this week's Facebook event. And the title, I was bored. And like, in fact, I was so bored this week. I actually was going through old news stories and new news stories trying to find just stuff to read to not have to think too much about things. And one of the grossest things I watched this week because I was bored was the new Blob. That it's a couple years old now. Its story's a couple years old, but apparently there was a super blob in London's East End under Whitechapel Road, and I think the Whitechapel area is where the infamous Jack the Ripper committed all those murders, like in the 1800s, in the late 1800s, I believe it was. But anyway, this thing is like sick. It's like 800 feet long, weighs 150 tons or 130 tons. It's essentially the size of like 11 double-decker buses lined up. So just grease and fat and like all this junk that's been building up in their sewers for that long. And so
Oh, wait,
they
this is a real thing.
this is a real thing.
I thought
They
you were talking about a new version of the Blob, like the
Well, it's the
yeah,
real
okay.
life version of the movie The Blob. They call it the Fatberg, and
I have heard of that.
it's
Yeah.
crazy. It's like I've never seen anything so disgusting in my life, but like a car crash, I couldn't look away because I was bored. And I watched them digging this thing out, and you could not pay me enough to get in there and dig through that. You know, I know I play Death Guard, and,
Yeah.
and I know their whole thing is like disease and filth and plague, and I can't think of the term right now, like bulbous, pustules and stuff like that. But
I think Papa
no,
Nurgle went a bit too far with that
no,
one.
yeah, that was definitely like a Papa Nurgle offspring or something like that. Um, yeah, weird. I don't know. But
Gross,
that's what
yeah.
happens. Like you start just going through all this stuff, this mundane stuff, to because you just want to like veg out. So like what's the weirdest or grossest or oh my god thing that you've done simply because you were bored?
That's a very good question. I would have to say either this new game that I picked up, which I'll talk a bit about later, or
Oh, is that the waiting? Is
yeah,
that the oh my god, let this be over with like
yep,
now?
that's that game. I can't really think of anything else. That is probably the weirdest thing I've done lately because I'm bored.
Well, you must have been pretty bored the other night because I actually got you to stand there for 4.5 minutes
You
watching
did,
Andy
yeah.
Warhol eat a hamburger. So.
And the worst part about that was I actually went back after that and watched another like 5 minute long video of Till Lindemann from Rammstein eating a burger. Same style parody of the Andy Warhol one, but there's a good 10 minutes of my life that I'll never get back.
Yeah. It was an interesting 10 minutes to say the
Yeah.
least because I watched the same one. I watched Till Lindemann after that too, and yeah, I was amazed that he did it. I thought it was hilarious.
Well, it was an
But
ad for it was an ad for some like vegan burger company. Funnily enough.
oh, that's cool. I didn't read
Yeah.
all the details on YouTube because again, I was bored. I just wanted to watch the video and not think about it. And it was hilarious at the end. He even introduced himself and said what he did, just like Andy Warhol. Hi, I'm Andy Warhol, and I just finished eating a hamburger.
Thanks to Till Lindemann. Yeah.
I mean, that's not as
That's
bad as like back in college when I was in art college. I was so bored once I watched Andy Warhol sleep, and and if you don't know what Andy Warhol's sleep is, check it out on YouTube. If you're really bored
is it
sometime, it's effectively 5 hours and 20 or 5 hours and 21 minutes, depending on which source you look at. 5 hours and 20 minutes of footage of Andy Warhol's then lover. What was the guy's name? John Giorno, I believe it was, sleeping. And Andy Warhol shot this footage. He had this camera, brand new camera, and he was super excited about using it. And he didn't know how to use it really well. He hadn't mastered it yet. And back then, it was a 16 millimeter camera, not an 8 millimeter. Like you hear a lot about 8 millimeter. There's even a movie called 8 millimeter with what's his name, Nicolas Cage. Um, but anyway, so he shot this on 16 millimeter film, and at the time, I think in 1964, the film reels were about 100 feet long in the canister, and that meant you could only get about 3, possibly 4 minutes of film out of one reel.
Jesus,
So
and he did five
he
and a half
shot he wound
hours.
up shooting well, so here's the magic in it, right? The magic of movie making. He shot a total of about 4 hours worth of film. Okay, so imagine 100 feet per reel, but only about, let's say, 3 minutes per reel. 4 hours of
Jesus.
film. So he had just stacks and stacks. In the end, he only wound up using about 30 minutes total of footage that he shot out of the 4 hours. And what he did is he looped it with the help of a partner, somebody that was helping him do the production on it. And she played a large role in that by coming up with these storyboards. And I had the name, her name slips my mind right now, and I feel really remiss for not jotting that down. But I'll post that like for people who are interested. So effectively, they did this composting process where they looped clips, and he didn't want it to appear that John was moving around too much in the film, so they would look for similar films. And I can't imagine how much time they spent to edit that down, to 30 minutes of footage that they could loop for 5 hours and 20 minutes to produce the film. But yeah, you've got to be pretty bored to watch that.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that because I'm not sure how much you go out and watch streams on Twitch, but a popular thing that some streamers do are sleep streams, and people are making thousands of dollars just live streaming themselves sleeping for however long, just however long they sleep at night. So that subathon that Ludwig did, half of the content on there was just him sleeping because
Wow.
he went to bed every night, 8 hours of sleep.
I
And
think I remember tuning in to that a couple times when you were telling me about when it was going on.
yeah, the funny thing was that's when those segments was when he made the most money because people would try to like if you don't know the streamer Ludwig, he was doing a subathon, which meant that as long as people were subscribing to his channel, he the time would increase on this timer, and he wouldn't stop live streaming until that timer ended. So for every sub, it was I think 10 seconds of time.
Was added on
Um,
to.
yeah. So for a while, um, at night they would like for every night for a while they would just keep throwing subs at it to try and increase the timer before he woke up. So he'd be like, "All right, we got like, 10 hours left today. I'll sleep, and then maybe we'll have like 2 or 3 hours left in the day. I can play a couple of matches of this game." And then by the end of the night, they'll push it up to 68 hours worth of time.
I can imagine waking up and being like,
So
"What the?" Oh my
oh my
goodness.
god, it worked though. He got like he
Well,
made
he pretty much broke Twitch. Like,
yeah, oh he did. He's
yeah,
it made him the biggest streamer on the platform for a while. Something like $850,000 that he made off of that stream.
yeah. And didn't he give that to charity? Give a large portion of that,
Some of it, some of it went to like paying the moderators on his channel
right?
because they had to effectively do the same thing as him and just keep the entire thing moderated 24/7 for a whole month. Um,
Oh, that's amazing.
yeah, but also, yeah, I think he did like most of it, like 3/4 or something like that, to charity. Only kept a few thousand for himself. So it's respectable, but that's insane still. It's crazy amount of money effectively just from sleeping.
That is, and it's funny, and it goes to show you, like, that old cliche. What's a cliche? There's nothing new under the sun. So many things are recycled and updated and redone and repurposed and reused, and new interpretations of them, and that's cool because it's a good segue. It's a good segue
Yeah.
from Andy Warhol sleep to modern technology like Twitch live streaming
I
and
think
Ludwig.
Yeah, I
What's
think he was ahead of his time, Andy Warhol. Eating a burger for 4 minutes, now you've got all these mukbang channels where they just eat food for the entire stream.
Yeah,
Andy Warhol's Sleep, which now gets people $850,000 for doing a couple of
yeah.
nights sleeping on stream.
Yeah, well,
It's insane.
he's the grandfather of pop art, and a lot of different things that artists have done since then, and producers and content producers have been all influenced by Andy Warhol. But another interesting thing is a little bit about the history of like live streaming and whatnot is before Twitch and even before YouTube. Um, in the old days, in the mid to late 90s, we used to do what we called webcasts. And back then, the software and the technology you'd hook a camera up to your computer. You had to have a video capture card in there, and if you were lucky, you could find some decent software that could do a really good refresh rate on the capture. So what it would do is you could set the interval to capture an image from your camera every so often, and then it would FTP it. It would FTP it up to a web page, and the web page would have a meta refresh in the HTML, old school stuff, before people started getting clever and doing JavaScript for it and Perl
That's
or
cool.
CGI plugins. And so, like, you would see a timestamp in the camera, and then 10 seconds later or 30 seconds later, so people would sit at their home office or, play with their pets, and they would post these things, and you could tune in. And Deacon, there were literally, at the peak of this, thousands and thousands of cameras. Not like today, I say thousands like it's impressive when you go on Twitch and you see how many like million users there are or whatever, right? Back then, this was like so new and people hadn't heard of this thing, and so you could tune into like virtually anything. You could watch somebody's fish in their fish tank. You could watch somebody's fireplace. They'd put the camera on their fireplace, and
Not much has changed,
the
has it?
woman, the young woman who made it all popular, who really became the internet star of the times, was named JenniCam, and you can still go out and find archives on the Wayback Machine of JenniCam. And what she did is she let people tune into her everyday life around her dorm, around her apartment, and she'd broadcast images of her like brushing her teeth, or there was nudity once in a while there, and she was generally fairly careful. There may have been like an episode or two where she was with her boyfriend, I think it was at the time, and people were, oh my God, they're getting intimate. But I don't think it was graphic. I don't think there was anything graphic. And she really, like she was on the David Letterman show. She hit like world fame basically for doing this live stream of her life, and it was just her like going about her business. And then she hit a peak, and then one year she just disappeared. She totally got offline, dumped all her social accounts back then, and was never heard from again. Until like
Weird.
she did rare interviews here and there. And she effectively said that she had a bad breakup, and that played part of it, and there were just and I guess it was broadcast on her feed. I keep wanting to say live feed, but it was actually delayed. Um,
I mean, so
but
is this, but
yeah, well, I mean, not delayed by much, but this is technically, I guess you could consider live, almost like television. There's even a 3 second gap on television and radio that I think it's the FCC requires to be able to censor offensive language and
yeah.
whatnot, or offensive graphic content. Anyway, so she hit a peak, and then she said, "That's it. I just want to go back to living my life." And like anything else, like any other medium, she was getting threats. She was getting harassed. She was getting
Yeah,
just
it's a
raunchy shit coming her way, and on top of like all the praise and all the good stuff that she was getting, and it, I can imagine, I can see that how it would get to be really difficult to deal with, but that's kind of cool. It's a blast from the past, and that's why I'm so stoked about things like Twitch now. Like the technology has changed so much, but it's the same. It's like same as it ever was, but it's a little bit better, and so I love the idea of Twitch, and I do like you asked earlier, like how much, you don't know how much I watch, but I do watch a lot, like in the off times when I'm not working. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's cool.
yeah. So that was kind of neat. I had to look it up again, like to see what she's doing as I was prepping notes for this show this week, and reading a little bit about that background again, and it brought back so many good memories. And I actually had to look at the dates again. And YouTube, for example, came online
2006.
2003. I think
Three?
it was. It was registered in 2003. And JenniCam. So those cams were like between 97 or 8, and I think YouTube came on around 2003, if I'm not mistaken. But it made me think like
2006.
2006. Okay, well, it was
Well,
probably
December.
registered before.
Late December of 2005. So
Right, but that if they came online then, that means that they were prepping a couple years ahead of time.
yeah,
Get the domains registered and whatnot. Um, but it's crazy, like how much stuff you can find. And the Wayback Machine is another good resource. Like if you get bored sometime, you can hit the Wayback Machine and go look up old websites.
yeah.
And I'm sad that I can't find my original one from like
That
all
sucks.
the way back in the early '90s. So, but that's what happens. What else did I prep this week? What did I look up? Oh, we were gonna talk about that game that
Yeah.
you mentioned to me earlier in the week.
So I picked up this game on Steam called.
Excuse me.
I picked up this game on Steam called The Longing. It wasn't bad. It was like 10 or $11, I think. And the general
The
premise.
longing,
Yeah. It is a very long
the
game.
waiting.
Yeah. So the general premise of the game is you are a shade, which is it's like a little mythical creature type thing. It's almost like the coal sprites from Spirited Away.
You're a soul. A shade is a soul, isn't it?
Kind of. Looks a bit different.
Okay.
You look like one of the coal sprites from Spirited Away, one of the little like dusty things.
Mm-hmm.
So the premise is you're a shade, and you're like the last one that's alive, and there's a king of them all, and his power is gone. And he's like, my power's pretty much gone. I'm gonna sleep for 400 days to regain my power. Don't leave the cave. Stay in the cave for me, you know, because you're in this cave underneath the rest of the world, and the premise of the game is you have to wait for 400 days. And the clock keeps ticking down, whether you're in the game or whether you have the game closed, so you don't have to be in-game the whole time. But, you walk around the cave, you pick stuff up, you can read.
Okay.
If you're really dedicated, you can read the entire Moby Dick in the game. All, like, however many pages it is, the whole thing. Yeah.
If you didn't catch it, he's talking real time.
Yeah,
400 days real time
so,
in the real world.
I'll have it beat by the time I turn a year older.
You'll be 19 and you're like, yeah, I'm going to finish that game I started last year.
Well, so I started playing that because I was bored, obviously. I had nothing better to do and I had about $10 that I could spare, so... The other thing that's like that, though, is... There's a game that I started playing a while ago called The Stanley Parable. And I picked it up because at the time, about 5 years ago, I was bored. Nothing's really changed. But, you are an office worker, you work in a cubicle. I don't really know how to describe the game. It's very weird. It's all told from the narrator's perspective, but... The narrator is very unreliable, so they're constantly changing things and making, like, oh, now the office has, like, a giant death trap in it, or now the office magically just changes layout sometimes, so whatever. And there's an achievement in there that I've been trying to get for 5 years now, and I still haven't gotten it. It's called...
Is that because everything keeps changing?
No, the achievement is actually called Go Outside, and the achievement is for not playing the game for 5 years. So, I have gotten just about every other achievement in the game. However, I still have to wait until October 23rd of this year till I can get that achievement. So,
oh my god, you actually wrote it down, put it in a calendar or something?
No, I was looking at that game a while ago and I was like, I wonder how far I'm going down on, or I wonder how far I've got left on that achievement, how long I've got to go. So I just looked at that the other day. So, October 23rd.
Did you have to go into the game to do that? Because hopefully that won't count again.
You can pull up the achievements from outside of it.
Okay.
Which is very nice.
So you're gonna wait. You're gonna wait it out.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Well, I've waited for
you must really be poor.
over 4.5 years, so I don't see the point of canceling it now.
I would wait a plus 1 day, like on the day.
I was gonna wait like a week or so after.
Yeah, I was gonna say because that would really suck.
Yeah.
If you got on there and it was like, oh, you missed it by 1 day.
Yeah. So.
That's the things that I learn about you just never cease to amaze me.
Yep.
It's like real life Beavis and Butthead here. Seriously, I mean, sometimes I wonder. So yeah, so the desperation, or what was it? The longing.
I've gotten all the other achievements in the game, and it's not that hard to get it. You just have to wait. So I figured, why not? The longing. Or,
several hours later.
Yeah, the longing, or as you've been calling it, the waiting. There is.
Oh my god! Just get this fucking done right now.
Yeah. So there is a room in that game that I found. And it is not 400 days anymore. I mean, obviously, it's not, the clock has been ticking down, but it has actually gone up. My time has gone up in there because there's this room called the Halls of Eternity. And, quite like the name suggests, they are eternal. And time pauses when you walk in there, and you can walk as long as you want, and the timer doesn't click down. So if you walk for 2 hours, it'll take you 2 hours to walk back to the entrance. So there's 4 hours on top of that, but the timer hasn't moved. So you've just added 4 hours to the game. So
That doesn't make sense though, because like if you're in the halls of eternity and you spend time in the halls of eternity,
time is paused when you're in the halls of eternity.
oh well, see, okay, that's not right because time should be a constant on the outside of it. It should continue ticking forward. And then while you're in there, like it's just time doesn't mean anything.
I guess, yeah, but they had cool furniture in the halls of eternity.
They had cool furniture. All right.
I found quite a nice rug that I can put back in my little home section of the cave.
Well,
So
okay. Really tie the room together, huh?
yeah.
Okay. All right. That is, yeah. Wow. I don't even know what to say about that. I mean, that's kind of weird. So,
Yeah.
like, you're this basically little. They had a name. I can't remember the name of them. What did you say?
Coal sprites.
Coal
like
sprites. Yeah, but there's another name in Japanese.
Yeah.
I've got a game over here on the game shelf that has it. The same type of things. I think it starts with a K. Not Konami.
No, that's
not
the game
Kotaku.
company. That's the game article company. Whatever.
Yeah, I'll have to look. I'll have to get up out of the chair and go get it. I don't want to do that. I'm too bored. It's like, anyway. Wow. So yeah, The Longing. Who
Yeah.
does that? Who produces that?
French studio. I can't remember the name. That probably explains a lot of it. So
Careful. I just always think of that film noir with the it was a cat, and I can't remember the cat's name, and it's like, life is so
Henry Le
meaningless.
Chat Noir.
Yeah, Henri.
Yeah.
Henri Le Chat Noir. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I love
he's
that
got the whole
series so much.
depressing
The old
monologue.
video series on
it's
YouTube.
hilarious. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That actually just got brought up the other day, and I can't remember why. But that's funny. I haven't thought about that in years, and now it's been brought up like multiple times recently.
It's a sign.
Yeah.
You must go to YouTube and
Rewatch
pull up
it.
Henri Le Chat Noir.
Guess I'll have to rewatch that later.
It was classic. Some things
was.
make me laugh really hard. That was one of them. It was just beautiful. It was perfect. So the waiting. That's too funny. I can't see like I mean, I think it's funny. It's clever, it's funny, but honestly, like if I were playing that game and I got to that point and all of a sudden it's like you must wait 400 days, I would probably seriously yell at the fucking screen. Like there would be some serious WTF coming out. Like
I can't imagine playing it this much, but there are 4 different endings to the game that you can get. One of them does actually let you leave early, and it's just however fast you can get to it.
Okay. So I guess that's what I was going to ask, is like if they have halls of eternity that actually penalize you, give you a detriment, and add to your time.
Call it a
is there something that might shorten it, like
I wouldn't
the
call
halls
it
of like super fast time travel?
No, you can just leave the cave.
Oh,
that's one of the endings.
Okay, and then the game just ends and it's like you failed. And
no, it's not just like you failed. It's just the game's end. Game's over. You can replay it if you want.
Okay, weird.
Yeah.
With no resolution or no... Is there a story?
There is. I haven't gotten there.
Okay, so, you haven't played that one?
No, I haven't gotten to that ending.
Okay. Are you going to wait 400 days? And then
I'm not sure. It really... there's a whole lot of stuff that you can do in the meantime. And the whole... I guess one of the selling points of it, or one of the main points that it's trying to make is about the character growth of the shade, not just the whole point is waiting. So you're supposed to like find all this stuff throughout the cave, and over time it's supposed to like improve the shade's general outlook on things. So you can do that if you want. It doesn't improve, and he gets like really depressed if you just leave the game closed for 400 days. So that's like one of the endings where you just don't really do anything. One of the endings.
Oh wait, hold up. wait a minute. So you're telling me there are like psychological implications on this like in-game character
Yes.
if you leave it like
Mhm.
like a
like
like a Tamagotchi?
Yeah, I was gonna say it's
You
like shit.
leave it to like starve, it becomes feral.
I was gonna
You
say
come
it's
in,
like
it's
a shitty
bald, it's got big eyes,
Tamagotchi.
it's like, my precious. Oh my god, that's wow. Okay.
So it's not as fun as that. I think it's nowhere near as fun as that. I think the general endings are, if you do a lot of stuff, you can improve their mood and their outlook on things. If you just leave them the whole time, I think they go kind of,
A little bonkers.
bonkers is a word for it. I was gonna say a little suicidal near the end.
Oh, that's even worse.
Yeah, it's like it's like a shitty Tamagotchi.
What the fuck?
So
I mean, is that like the MO? Like, there's Henri, like a chat noir. Life is so depressing, and
is that
now
just
it's like,
is that just a French thing?
I don't know. I don't want to turn this into a French bashing. We love the French people. But you're great.
I can't remember any of the
Your
French
great
lessons
granny
I took.
was part French, so tread carefully. But
Yeah.
I mean, like,
It's
as a
very
genre,
weird
I
game.
can see, there's a weird like poetic,
Yeah.
kind of a thing to that.
I
But
don't know if I call it poetic. It's just kind of depressing at that point. But
yeah, wow. On the other hand, I was thinking like I mentioned
goes
like it
Gollum.
going Gollum, like
yeah.
curses, we hates the game player, because he hadn't been there. So it's either going to be like, where is my precious, or it's going to be the other precious. It puts the lotion on its skin,
Yeah.
or it gets the hose again, and either one of those are bad scenarios you don't want to wind up in. So
Yeah. Speaking of Gollum, though, there is I'm sure you've heard of it recently, but there's a Gollum game coming out where
Yes.
you play as Gollum, and that looks really interesting.
the animation, that looks amazing.
It did. I saw some of the videos of it. It looked awesome.
Who joined us?
Chris and Aaron. How's it going?
Hey, it's the brothers Dzelski. How's it going, guys? Good to see you there. So y'all need to read The Unbearable Lightness of Being. I actually did, and I saw the movie, and the movie was, it was okay.
I have not read it. I haven't heard of it, and it sounds depressing. So
It's been several years since I've seen it, so I couldn't even do a recap of it here if I wanted to. But that might be interesting. Hey, speaking of reading, hand me that book, would you? Can you remember what page you're at there, or like pull the?
171.
Okay. So, I started. I told you I've been. I'm at the end of week 2 of the new job here, and a coworker of mine was kind enough to lend me this graphic novel that you are reading, and I'm looking forward to reading this. But this is something, like, if you're watching, you might be interested. Let's see if we can see this title here. It's a graphic novel called Genderqueer. And this is it's a memoir by Maya Kobabe. I hope I'm pronouncing that last name right. And apparently it's an autobiography done in graphic novel format. So I'm really excited about reading this. Let's see.
Pretty good so far.
I thought, I don't know, does it say what year was that published?
It's been a couple years, at least. 2019.
And who's the publisher?
The Lion Forge LLC.
Okay.
So this is surprising. Printed in the Czech Republic.
Okay, I did
surprised.
remember when I looked at the credits. 2019 from Lion Forge, called Genderqueer. And I was telling them that we just did a stream a couple weeks ago with that list from IO9, the 51 sci-fi books. Yeah. So I promised them that I would get the link to them. But yeah.
Yeah.
So far so good though. You're liking the story?
Yeah.
That's cool. Okay.
I wouldn't really call it much of a story, I guess. It's not a biography. It's more of like a life experience retelling, I guess.
Well, I mean, yeah, that is a story.
Yeah.
Story of their life.
Have you all read Saga, a graphic novel?
That
sounds really familiar.
It does, but I don't think I have that.
I haven't read many graphic...
Crazy Wild Romp.
I haven't read many graphic novels lately. Saga. Let me look
The
that up.
last one I read was called Chew, and that was really kind of interesting. It's a pseudo zombie tale. It's a new take on the zombie tales. It's a detective story. So there's a detective in there called Chew, and it's a play on his name. Um, and basically, they have a special unit that do crime investigations, and it involves like him being able to like use his pseudo zombie
Hmm.
senses, to like smell the killer and all this kind of really stuff. It's long series.
Yeah,
Saga is a long
I was
series.
looking at it. There are quite a few of them. I can't remember the exact number, but it looked like a
Mm.
pretty long one.
Sounds like Neil Gaiman's Sandman. That thing just went on
Yeah.
forever and ever and ever, which is getting made into a movie, by the way. So
It
I don't know
is.
if that's coming out this year or next, but that's another one they're talking about.
Let's see. I just started rereading Bone. That's a graphic novel that I haven't
Oh,
read in quite some
Aaron
time.
loves zombies. Well, Aaron, if you're there and you're checking it, you're watching, you should look up on Twitch. You should look in our highlights. I think it was episode 2
Too.
where
Yep.
we played a game of zombies, and I can't remember who was on there. It's been like I can't
Just
believe
us
like
two.
it's almost a whole month has gone by now. We're at the end of
Well, we did
July.
skip a week,
Tomorrow's, but still, like
Yeah.
we started that first weekend of July. No, actually, the second weekend. We took the holiday weekend off because we figured people wouldn't be watching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
But,
But yeah, almost a month. That's kind of crazy.
yeah, time just flies by. And we're going to have to keep pushing on if we want to grow the community and all that.
Yeah.
But back on the topic of graphic novels, I was just so that came up and somebody was asking about I can't remember the other title. This is why I should write this stuff down. And I didn't have my laptop or anything with me when I was there for that event. But the last two, aside from Chew, that I read were Democracy and Logicomics. Logicomix. And we can put the links to those up on something if we set up.
I think the candle there is trying to say something. Looks like Morse code.
Is it Morse code flickering?
Yeah, it does. Look at the
Yeah.
stream.
Yep.
Well, that's weird. Now the other one started back up. That was just burned out a while ago.
Well, we went through the
That's
same thing. Like if I look at it here, it looks like it's not burning, and
No,
then
no, I
then
meant,
it
like,
starts to flicker.
that one, I looked back at it just a minute ago in the back corner, and it was
Hmm.
just completely flat. That's some weird paranormal ghost shit.
Yeah, that is some weird paranormal ghost shit. So, it's kind of like that gaming session at Joe's Zombie Joe,
Yeah.
where Molly was trying to enter into a pact with the demon, and Joe started speaking on behalf of the demon.
Was
all
it a
the
Naga,
lights.
right?
What's
It
that?
was a Naga, right? Snake
I don't know
demon?
that it was a Naga. It may have been, but I just thought
It was.
I thought it was a
Yeah.
summon demon.
No. They were. She was trying to summon one. Or no, she was the demon because she's a tiefling, and that was a Naga. But they were going over like a binding pact of
A
like
binding, a bloodbound,
yeah,
blood oath. And as Joe was describing it, all the lights started dimming, and there was a huge storm rolling in, where all the skies turned dark gray and black, and everybody freaked out and shit their pants.
right
basically.
as the power started having issues.
Yeah.
So the lights
Well, that's why I
went
said the
off.
light was
Yeah.
like.
It
Didn't quite go
was-
all the way out, but like everybody was enough to like jump back and say, "Okay, that's enough. That's. I think we're done here."
Between that and my sound effects, he had some of the craziest game
Yeah.
like add-ins ever.
Yeah,
that
the
was,
the chip chewing in the background was impressive to say the least.
zombies chewing.
Yeah.
If I have to remind you.
Incognito about a light-skinned black journalist exposing lynchings who gets caught up with his brother. Oh, interesting. I'll have to look that up.
Upgrade Soul.
Yeah. I've got a list of things I'm trying to get through right now, like a ton of books. Two of them are pretty heavy-duty academic things on the topic of learning and learning and assessments and how to create better assessments for learning.
Talk to Chris about that.
Yeah, I should. What's on your radar aside from genderqueer? Anything else you're reading? Oh, you picked up some. We picked up some reading material this afternoon.
We did. You're right.
You had a
I
mind
completely
fart, brain
spaced
fart.
that. Yeah. So and this is about that time too. It's 8:46.
Oh wow. Okay.
So
Yeah, we got
we
15
stopped
minutes.
by our local Warhammer store today because I wanted to pick up one of the new freebie things, and we got a book of some short stories, which I actually forgot to bring down, but I'm sure if you go into a Warhammer store, you'll be able to find it. We got this, which is a new magazine from Warhammer, from GW.
You can put it up in camera
This
and they
is,
can see that.
Yeah. Trying to remember how to angle this. So this is the Battle Honors book. It is technically a beginner's guide, or I'm not sure if guide would be the right thing, but it's a beginner's...
It's like an activity tracking catalog. Yeah. It's really interesting. It reminds me of like, frankly, it reminds me of like a thing that they produce for a lot of kids. Like when you go to a show, you go to a big convention or something, and they give a kid sort of like a, what's the term, Deacon? Scavenger hunt.
Yeah. Well,
and
it's like a stamp book.
Find the vendor with the crazy Viking haircut, and then he says which one, right?
Yeah.
So then they find the designated vendor, and then they have to stamp that in their book, and when they're done, they get all the stamps in the book. Then they get a little token or a prize or whatever.
So this has, I'll pull up a different page. Actually, it's probably easier to see. This has stuff like this.
So effectively, like, they want you, like, so this is all revolving around Warhammer 40K and Age of Sigmar, which is the fantasy component, for those not familiar. But effectively, it's a very inclusive hobby. It's a very diverse hobby in terms of, I guess I shouldn't use the term inclusive and diverse in the sense that people would be thinking of. It's an all-encompassing hobby because not only do you buy the models, you assemble the models, you paint the models, you create an army within the faction, and most of the time people are reading the lore. So you're trying to really become immersed in the whole 40K realm or the Age of Sigmar realm. So it's not just like buying a board game, putting the pieces on the table and playing it. So as you do each one of these things, like you acquire a model, it says, tell us about the model that the army you've recently acquired. And then as you start to paint it, tell us what you're working on, tell us what you're painting, and then you write it in your little journal. And when you're done, you take that to your GW store, and your friendly GW store manager named Vince.
If you're out there.
Hello, I had this dream that he was cloned in like every store in America that was a Warhammer store was Vince, and it had a Vince in it. It was kind of comforting knowing that you could go anywhere in the country and you could always see Vince. Anyway, that's a whole other thing.
He's a good manager, so
he is, and he's a fantastic all around person. So anyway, back to the catalog. Vince will stamp this for you at the local GW store here in Fitchburg, and then if you're new to the hobby, if you just started and you bought an army, ask for this book, and then as you complete the things, when you're done with it, you'll get a really cool gift. You get a little carrying case and a whole bunch of other stuff, and I don't remember all the details on that, but like
pretty cool swag.
Yeah.
Also, he says Harrow County, great creepy graphic novel, great watercolor art. And on a side note, did you catch any of Lovecraft Country? That is what you and Mom watched, right? Or did she?
I didn't watch that. So your mom started that, and she liked it, and I don't know what the deal was, if she continued watching it or not. But I think it got canceled too. I think they didn't renew it.
Yeah.
So I mean, as long as it's still
didn't get renewed.
As long as it's still available, the first season or whatever, the first few episodes, I'd like to go back and watch that because it sounded like it was a good concept. Yeah. But there was something else I was gonna say that had to do with that magazine. I know what it was. So it has the different sections in there, like it has activities.
What does it have? It has building, painting, making terrain, reading up, like learning about the lore, and then reading books.
You're right.
So
that whole painting section is probably one that Chris wouldn't do because he doesn't paint armies. Just kidding, Chris. Love ya. He's gonna totally kick my ass next time I see him. Love Kafka. Yeah. No HBO here. Okay.
That's a shame.
Yeah, I didn't know what that was on, which station that was on, if that was HBO or
Yeah.
Netflix, but we've got HBO Max, so maybe I'll check that out when I'm bored.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that Battle Honors thing, it is about 8:50, so I think we're gonna take a quick break here, a little intermission, move over to the workbench, and then maybe knock some of the stuff out that was in there. So,
I wonder how much of a delay there is because like Aaron just laughed at that. I think he got the joke about Chris not painting the armies. Do you want to do this now? Do you want to? I mean,
sure,
it
yeah.
like before we hit the top of the hour.
Yeah, why not?
Okay, all right. So ditto what Deacon said. We're gonna go on a little break, little intermission here for 15 minutes, and when we come back, we're gonna pump the cameras on the workbench and work on some stuff from there. So hang around. Hopefully you'll stick with us, and we'll be back in 15 minutes.
Yep, see you then. work. Yay.
Yeah. Yay, we're back online.
And we remembered to bring the mic with us.
So, hi everybody and welcome back to the Black Dragon Tavern. I'm your host Dante.
I'm your host Deacon.
And we're bringing a live stream to you from the Workbench.
Yeah.
So
what are
more
you
of the
working
same for me this week, I think, Deacon. I'm
Still
struggling
satyrs?
to get through the satyrs in this Faun army.
Yeah.
But I got the hang of it now, and the glue's working a little bit better. I know what to expect, so I'm able to put some of the models together
That's good.
faster. And I've got an idea now of sort of what I want to do within the framework that's available in terms of poses. And if I can get about a half a dozen of these done in the next day or two here, then it'll give me something to spray paint and start painting. Not like I don't have enough stuff to paint already that's in various stages, but, this is kind of what caught my eye. So what are you working on this week?
Couple things. Well, probably just one, actually, seeing as how fast I paint, but I have a Black Templar's Land Raider that I'm working on, and it is a bit hard to see. I'll bring the light over here a bit more.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, you can see it for...
Maybe I'm just washing it out now.
Yeah, a little bit, but...
So, got a Black Templar's Land Raider that I'm working on, and it's pretty cool so far. Got quite a bit that I still need to finish up with it, but it's getting there. I'm gonna try out... Oh.
I was going to say, what you might want to do, if I can make a suggestion, is get some good pictures of that and put them up on Instagram. Some of that banner work is looking really cool. And I'm not sure if you're done.
I want to do that when I get a bit closer to being done.
Sure.
So I'm about to do this one step that I'm really looking forward to because it's gonna look awesome, or I'm gonna completely screw it up and I'm gonna have to redo the whole top of it. So I'm gonna try a bit of OSL, which is not really my strong suit.
Okay.
In fact, I've never done it, but got these lights on the front of the tank here, and I figured I can thin down some yellow paint and effectively just glaze it on. And I don't think it'd look that bad,
So here's a pro tip.
Around there.
You can model, that's difficult because that has a
whole lot of edges and
whole lot of angles.
Yeah.
But what I was going to say is usually what you can do is you can get a little LED light or a little flashlight and shine the light forward and then sort of see where the light is cast on the objects around it, and then that'll help you understand where you need to paint.
It's lit up the whole thing, I see.
Yeah. Well, you're also shining the tank forward, or shining the light forward onto the tank, but if you could get a light that shined from behind, sort of like a laser pointer, but not really, like a little mini flashlight, it'll help you see sort of where the tops are going to be lit, but beneath is going to be more in shadow for each level there. Yeah. But that'll look really cool.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to get started on that just about now.
All right. So, but yeah, I'd highly encourage you to put stuff up on Instagram, because we need some more pictures up there. I can't be the only one posting stuff there. I mean, I could, but you should use that space as well. All right, let's see. Faun number 3 out of 24.
Getting there.
Yeah, I don't have any intentions on building all 24 of them on stream. That would keep me busy through the fall for sure. But I think what I would do is, like I said, just do a half a dozen or so.
Well, I mean, it is. All right.
I want to see something.
That could have been bad. I'm gonna just fuck my brush up here. That's gonna be an issue. I can already tell. I need there is a little glass vase, or one of those little glass jars near you. Can you hand me that? It's got all of the needle tips in there.
Oh, is it that pepper jar?
It's one of the ones up in the caddy. I think I put it back in the caddy at the very
okay.
least.
Yeah, let me see if I can reach this.
Oh, jeez, you just pulled the whole thing over. Okay.
Yeah. I have to be careful about that because this thing is like weighing a ton now.
There, nope, that's not it. I just might not have put it back. Yeah, here it is.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I should just really have one of these
Put things back.
dedicated.
I'm sorry, did I say that out loud?
Yes,
on stream.
I should really just have one of these dedicated for this. Here. I'm gonna keep them here, where they're, next to the syringes that they go with.
Okay, I seem to have
Here is
lost a pair of legs.
Ooh, that's odd.
It is odd. It's really weird because there were 3 pairs snapped on here, and I'm not sure where they went.
Here is a nice tip, by the way, if you didn't know this already.
Oh, here.
If you get a syringe, a needle and a syringe, these are a bit high. Nothing to do with the needle or syringe. If you get a needle and a syringe, you can use that to actually measure out how much paint thinner you're using, and I have been getting really good at thinning my paints to just about the level that I want them at.
And effectively, you can use the hypodermic needle to go in between the really super fine lines of models like
really use
spaceships or tanks and stuff like that. But that's a way that you can use it, is you use like a wash or a really thin down paint.
Yeah, that's true.
And then you pull up the paint in the syringe, and then you start from the top and you tilt the model down, and then you stick the needle inside of the little groove, and then it fills in, and it'll just like follow like a little maze, all the cracks and the lines in there. It works really well.
I used that on a drop ship that I was doing a while ago, and it was quite nice. Did just what I wanted it to.
The amount of detail that it picks out is amazing.
There's a lot of stuff like that on this model, and I might actually just break into that to show it off a bit on stream. You wouldn't be able to see it, obviously, because as nice as these cameras are, they're not that good. So.
Well, they have difficulty like focusing up close. I mean, I don't think that's the point of them. The point of them is to have the wide angle, because these are what they call 95-degree angled cameras, so they have a really wide field of view.
Yeah.
Like if we wanted a camera, and we might want to look, as we grow or as we get a followership. Is that a word? Followership. As we grow our followers, maybe we can work towards that. And then if we monetize, if we get to the point where we can get subscriptions,
that's a shame.
We're able to take donations right now, or tips. So if people want to tip and, help us invest in getting a couple of cameras that we can use to zoom in, that's an option. Not super pushy about that, but there are choices, there are options.
This isn't working out. It's... I suppose I'm giving up a bit early, but just not really getting the...
Boy, I thought we were breaking up for a minute the way you said that. Like, I thought you were talking about this streaming thing isn't working out, or these cameras aren't working out. I was just about to, shed a tear.
Just a tear, not multiple tears? Now we really are talking. Oh, well, I can still do cool stuff with the lights on there without having to worry about OSL. What would make that really nice is an airbrush, but that is...
I don't know if we lost Chris and Aaron, but I'm not seeing anybody in chat.
And now I'm going back to that too soon. Ugh. God, I'm making a mess of this thing. Alright, I will come back to that section later. For the time being, though, I suppose I could test out... Not really test, but...
Oh yeah, nothing says anatomy like putting a neck on a 90-degree angle.
Oh, it's like how I wake up. Where's my null oil? There it is.
Alright, I'm gonna try this. I'm gonna see what this is like. And this will be number 3 down in the books.
So the cool thing about this technique is you don't really have to inject the paint or the wash into the crack itself. You can get it just enough where there's like a dot of paint on the tip of it, and then use it almost like a pen and just line out the areas that you want to shade.
That's cool.
So I actually, it's funny, the way I use it is pretty much just how you use like a quill, ink and quill,
Sure.
whatever they're called.
Yeah.
Just dip a tiny bit on the end of it and dab it
feather,
on.
Feathered quill?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it works lovely. So there's one, I wouldn't even call that one side. There is one corner of this done.
Alright. Now, this is going to be the challenging part.
Getting it to the
Somewhere
base.
in one of these bits boxes where I was keeping all my Orc and Gabo stuff, I had arrows.
Ooh, I can see how that would be a problem.
Actually, dude, look, I totally just pulled one right out. Talk about lucky.
Wow.
I literally
That-
just saw it sticking right there on the edge.
Yeah, lucky indeed. Holy crap.
Oh, this was primed with a little bit of the sprue still on it.
Oh well.
Yeah.
Cut it off. You gotta reprime it anyways.
Yeah, it's true. Now, what do you think? Is this ridiculous? Is this ridiculously out of scale? I'm going to hand these over to you.
Yes.
Orc arrows. They're using orc arrows. Like the ones that Boromir got killed with. You know, that's as good as I can do. Otherwise, I've got to...
Trim it down a bit.
Well, yeah, I suppose I could whittle it down.
I was thinking just chop one of the ends off.
No, I wouldn't want to do that. I'd just want to narrow the shaft down a little bit, whittle
Well,
that
I was
down.
thinking about the length. It just looks too long.
I don't think so, and I'll show you why. Have a look at... Where are you? Here. Here's the one for the male presenting satyrs and centaurs.
Okay.
So you see how long that is?
Just
So
about.
it's about the same length.
Hmm.
It's just much skinnier.
Alright. Fair enough.
It's longer by an arrowhead length, which is not terrible, but it is definitely much slimmer. So my options are I could snip that off of there, and then I wouldn't have one for those models. I mean, I've got 3 sets of these sprues, but I don't know. Let's see, what can I do here? Screw this up. I don't know if I mentioned this on stream before, like on one of the earlier episodes, but I think I mentioned it to you. Um, I've taken to watching live streams on the street. Like, what I mean by that is like
IRL
people,
streams, yeah.
yeah, IRL streams from people like going along the Santa Monica Pier, for example, and stopping by the food carts and just watching the street performers and people watching and all that. And it's kind of cool. It's kind of fascinating. It's not always exciting, but it's entertaining.
Yeah.
Like the people that they meet, there are a lot of people who they don't speak to because
Random people.
whatever. Yeah, they don't want to be on camera or it's a liability or I don't know. But they do get people once in a while that they'll talk to and that want to talk to them, and it's pretty cool. They had some random dude on there last week dancing, and he was throwing down. For an old guy, he was getting down. It's pretty cool.
That's cool.
They stopped at like this taco truck. They were getting horchata, and it was hilarious because a different stream. What's the guy's name? Art Man or something like that. The Art Man. He was streaming, and then somebody came along and was stream sniped him. So this guy, I think his name is Genpai Senpai, and he was following the other guy, and he was also streaming the same thing that the guy was streaming. So they teamed up, and it was kind of cool because you got two different perspectives depending on which channel you tuned into. But they were trying to get some food. It got really late at night apparently, and they were hungry, and all they wanted was a slice. So they couldn't find any places that were open, and they wound up at a McDonald's. It was really sad. I felt bad for them in the end because it's like, dude, of all the places in California they could be going and having, food, like they wind up at McDonald's. But the arches delivered because they were opened.
Oh, there it goes.
What would be your go-to late night place if you were out with a friend and you were hanging out and you were like, I gotta
Out
get
of
some food?
any choice that if I had it available, are we talking like strictly fast food?
If you had a choice of any late night, like any place where you could get food late at night.
Shit, man, I don't know. Probably like White Castle. They're none near us.
Oh, you are my son. That's for me, that's like probably my top choice. I'm not supposed to be eating that shit, but
It's good.
it's good.
It's
It is
cheap.
good. I don't know about cheap, but when you
can
have
get
that,
like a lot of sliders for not that much.
it's true. And when you've got that craving for the crave, that's the place to go. Used to be like I told you the whole Denny's thing. No, not so much. I hope I didn't offend Chris.
With the whole painting armies thing?
Yeah.
Okay, good. That's still working. Alright. Let's see here. This is probably just about dry enough where I can touch it back up.
The one kind of sad thing about like now that we're streaming on Friday evenings,
You can't just chill on a Friday evening.
well, I'm not so worried about that. This is pretty much chilling for me. Like I like this. I get bored if I'm sitting around and I don't really have anything to do. I mean, I used to seriously at one point I told your mom, I said I never get bored because I didn't. I never got bored. I always had stuff to do. And lately I just find myself like, don't want to do that. Don't want to do that. Don't want to do that. But what I was enjoying was I was tuning into this stream pretty regularly, and I've really grown to like it. It's in all night live on Fridays, and he's also based out of California, or they're based out of California. I'm not sure what their pronouns are. And I haven't had a chance to watch that in ages. And I could go back and watch the VODs, but it's just not the same. I don't get to interact with them.
Yeah.
Totally off that topic. What did you ever wind up doing or deciding about getting a skateboard?
Still debating on that. I'm gonna walk up there one weekend, see how long it takes, and then try to figure out, like, am I too lazy to walk, you know?
Yeah, we gotta get back to the gym too. We gotta get back to our routine.
Yeah.
Everything okay over there?
Mm-hmm. I'm just checking. Checking the, chat and all that. See if there's any new stuff. There's not. Alright.
Well, hopefully we didn't lose internet connection. I mean, I think
No,
we're still
we're-
broadcasting,
no, we're still
right?
live,
Okay,
yeah.
that's good. I've seen channels that happens to where they go offline or whatever, but maybe they had to run. It's all good. So yeah, here we go. I think this looks a lot better. Shave this down. Make it a little skinnier, the shaft of this arrow.
Yeah. Yep.
I think I'll leave the arrowhead the same way though, because it looks pretty brutal. The things we do for our hobby. So last night we got on the topic of 3D resin printing. Kind of half joking, kind of maybe not so half joking.
Yeah.
What do you think of that? Like, is that something you would pick up? Is that something you think you'd want to invest in?
If we had the space, and if I had the time, and if we had the money, then yeah.
Well, I've got a proposal. I've been thinking about that. What are the chances, what's the likelihood that we'll take up airbrushing again?
Probably not that high. I mean, I would like an airbrush for some things, but not enough to demand a regularly usable setup like that. Like, I'd like it for small things, like what I've seen a lot of people do that's really cool is OSL and things like glowing plasma guns with that, where, take a look at this. For OSL, instead of like brushing on all that, they really thin down whatever color they're gonna do, and then just go like, psh, psh,
Yeah.
and it'll hit it. Oh well, they wouldn't do it from that direction, but you do it like this, like.
Yeah, almost like a zenithal.
Yeah,
or
no,
whatever.
exactly. Yeah, zenithal. Yeah. That would be what it is, and that's another thing. Zenithal highlighting, I guess, for some characters, depending on what I'm doing.
It's so funny how these techniques, like now, I see so many people refer to them, and it reminds me of like when I was in school for that.
Yeah.
And I love it. I love it because people are rediscovering it. You know, the only thing I complain about is like when people think that like they've discovered it, like they discovered it, like this is new, and it's like painting has been around. These techniques have been around for a long time. But
Yeah.
I love. Nothing makes me happier than to see when people post online their stuff that they're working on, and you know how excited people get. Like, look what I did, look what I did, because it's cool when you're creating something. That feeling of like, I did this, you know.
I made this.
Exactly. I think I gotta carve a channel here in her hand.
Drill.
No.
No, you could use
because it's already got a small channel in there. You could put a spear in there because like the spears are really thin. You see it underneath her hand?
Jeez, yeah.
But I think if I get a little file, I get one of my files out of here. I'll betcha I can do that. Thanks. Let's see. Yeah, this looks good.
That was close.
What's up with that? It was a skeptical.
I was trying to figure out how I want to highlight this. I was thinking dry brushing, but I think that's too bright. I think I'm gonna go with just edge highlight, and that's not too bright. That's actually. I think I'm just gonna go with edge highlighting.
On the whole thing?
Yeah. Not all of the edges, but
You know, the other added bonus of doing this, of like sort of filing out a groove here in the palm, is it'll rough up the edges and that'll help, I think, with the glue.
yeah.
So it won't be sticking to that nasty, shiny surface. It's like, we really got to get up off our lazy asses and work on that Discord server.
We do.
It'd be nice to do that, like I said, this weekend, because next weekend... Oh, that reminds me, for anybody who's out there watching, we'll post this online as well on Facebook and probably Twitter. Excuse me. We will be, next week, turn this light off. Next week we'll be streaming Thursday and Friday instead of Friday and Saturday, because Deacon's going to be going out to Milwaukee, to magnificent Milwaukee, to hang out with some friends and go get a little cultured, go to some museums, and not like he's not going to get yogurt or anything, that kind of culture, but you know, maybe, I don't know, frozen yogurt. But he's going to go get himself some art.
Gonna go see the magnificent Warhammer stores on Milwaukee.
Are you really? Are you going to
Nah.
do that too? Do they have one out there?
Probably. It's a big city.
You know, like, they have a lot of good concerts out there.
I know. Speaking of concerts, by the way, did you know that Bongzilla is actually going to the High Noon Saloon in
You know,
August?
a little birdie planted that
That little birdie would be
message
me.
in my ear recently. Let's see.
I'm doing it again because we should totally go.
Do it again. Oh yeah, I gotta be careful with that, huh?
I might have to increase these edge highlights a bit
I think
more.
that's gonna work. That would be really cool. I'll be super happy if this works. Sticks.
Oh, hopefully it does.
It's the kind of thing that like I really want to grip from the top and the bottom, but if I do, instantly glue my fingers to it.
Yep.
Shit. But if I don't, I'm gonna be doing a lot of like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. That might work. Hold it from there.
That didn't sound like it was working.
That's fine. I just dropped it. It's a little more angled than I wanted, but
I don't know how well this is gonna work.
there we go. What do you think? It's fantasy. Good enough. I'm not going to complain about it. I'm trying to find something I can use to put up by the camera so that it sort of like forces a focus. Yeah, I know. Instagram, I know. So for those of you, let's see. I don't know if that helps focus it or not, but anyway. There's three out of 6. So let's see, what do we have on this sprue?
Only 3 out of 6?
Oh, the heads on these things are really freaking cool.
What happened to the other 18?
What?
I said, what happened to the other 18?
They'll get there, but like I said, I want to assemble a small warband of about 6 satyrs right out of the gate. There's not a lot of variation with the torsos. Okay, let's see. So I got this camera. It's part of work equipment, and it's really nice. And I was thinking like that might be another one, a good one to pick up. If we look at like maybe doing a secondary camera on the game table or something to bring in a little closer view.
What kind of camera is it?
It's a Logitech. And I think it's one of the ones that didn't get such a good review on the live streamer cam reviews that I was watching, but I use it for Teams meetings and it works pretty good. It's really, really clear, good resolution, handles low light fairly well. There's a little bit of noise in it when you're really low light, but I'm not going to be doing desktop one-on-one talking head type of stuff. I was thinking more like for this room, which is really well lit. This room is lit. But yeah, if you remind me sometime, maybe over the weekend, I'll show you what it looks like if you're interested.
Okay.
So are you doing the edge highlighting now?
Yeah. It's slow, but, it's getting there.
Sure.
Actually, it's going pretty fast. Vehicles like this make it really easy because all of the edges are just clearly defined.
I can see that.
Go back in with a bit of a lighter color after this one and do a few more in just a couple smaller spots.
Oh, there we go. Welcome back, Chris.
Hey, welcome back.
Chris says he's prepping more Legion figs over here. It's awesome. I really, Chris, I was looking at, excuse me. I was looking at some Star Wars figures online, some painted armies, and I was so excited for you. And I was just thinking, like, God, I can't wait to see when he gets these all painted up. Because there's so much nostalgia there. Like, just to see all those troops painted up and on a table, makes me, like, remember the movies as a kid. I'm wondering for this guy, I'm going to do a leader here, if I should do, like, another piece of cork like that. Do you have any more of that cork I could borrow?
I've got... Oh my gosh, how much do I have? I got it in, like, I think foot by foot squares. And I have, like... like... 10 of those left.
Okay, so it sounds like maybe I've got to grab some of those.
I think I have some pretty broken up in here. If you give me just a second to finish up this one part, I can take a look for that.
I thought I had some square textured bases that I've done. I've got an idea for what I want to do. I've got an angle.
Yeah, it's all down in the bottom of there.
Okay. Yeah, I might actually have to get some pieces from the big one.
Okay.
But I'm gonna
you
try
know where they're
these. Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you. Because I don't want this to be quite as high as that other one. And
You
I
can
might
cut them
even
in
actually.
half.
Yeah, I know, but that's what I'm saying is I might actually do that with this one. And then re-glue that figure on there. In fact, I think I'm gonna try that with this one and just see. Oh, that's so painful to do that.
So I
'cause it
get
finally took a
exactly
really...
what you're talking about with wanting like each mini to look just great, and then that leading to not getting any of them done. So I guess what I would recommend is like just for the time being at least get them done to like whatever your tabletop standard is. Just get the basic colors on them, and then once you've got them done to that standard, like what I do is I spray them in the color, whatever color it's going to be, so like black or blue or green, whatever. I'll spray them in that color, I'll throw the basic colors in, and then I will go and ignore them for a few months, but I will go watch videos about it or whatever, and then I'll get inspired and I'll say like I just want to do some of the basic infantry, and I'll knock out 3 guys, and it'll be slow, but I'll get 3 guys done and it'll look really cool. And I just that's about it. Just get them to a tabletop standard, and then once you've got them there, just kind of take it at your own pace. That way you can say like, yeah, I've painted all of these, and you can be happy with the fact that you've painted them all, but also still have room to go back in and really like make each one pop, you know?
Yeah, just don't seal them. Like
Oh yeah.
don't clear coat them at the end and leave them, and then they're relatively easy to go back in and tweak. But the artist will always be their own harshest critic. So I get it, Chris. I get what you're saying. Like, you don't just want to slap some absolute shite on your table, but you'd be surprised like how many people that don't paint, when they see paint, like different levels of paint, they probably know like if somebody's a Peter Lee level or Golden Demon Award painter, but when you see a painted army on the table, they're impressive. Like, somebody put in all that work, and it looks amazing because, if you walk into a hobby store and you look on their shelves, all you see is unpainted minis, for sale. And then, like, when you go to a game and somebody's got a full army out there, and even if they just have 3 or 4 colors and a little bit of wash on them, it's an impressive thing to see still. So I wouldn't sweat it. I would say, like, do your best, do what you feel good with, and Deacon gave you some really good advice too, like, or offered some really good advice, just about like get them to the point where they look pretty good, and then you can always go back and tweak. Speaking of tweaking, let's see. Turn this way, maybe. Oh wow, that was almost made for that. Okay. One thing I'm super bummed out about, and I don't know if we mentioned this before, but I knew sooner or later it was going to hit me, and I'd have to bring it up. Usually when we are at the workbench here, we've got music playing, and I really miss the music. I really do.
Yep.
And goddamn the record industry, the RIAA or whatever, ASCAP or whoever it is, like, that are out there going after people, because like, we're not making money off this stream. We're not monetized. We're just broadcasting because we're bored, and because to entertain some people, and we're trying to do a hobby here. And then it'd be really great to be able to listen to music while we're doing our hobby, but we can't do that. Can't even whistle a tune or hum a tune. That really sucks donkey balls.
Oh, especially when you've got a song stuck in your head and you want to like hum it, but you can't.
I know, it's human nature. They're asking people to go against human nature, basically. But let's see what I'll be. Alright, I gotta tweak this part out right here. Yeah, not to sound like a like scratch record or whatever, but your comment there, that kind of reminds me of what we were talking about before. Like, do your army, like whatever tabletop standard, and then like have a couple figures, heroes or champs or leaders, and then those are the ones that you really put the effort into.
I mean, you can go above and beyond that. You can put that amount of detail into every mini, into your basic troops and all that. But I think the best thing to do is just get them all to a tabletop standard, so that you can say that you got it done, and then go in and really make each one,
right?
Whatever. Oh wait, no, it's not this one.
Oh, this worked out so much better. Or in the words of Borat, great success. Glad I was able to get that on there.
And I gotta say, I love the GW paints, but they cannot make a white paint save their life.
Well, you know, historically, this is another topic that comes up repeatedly. Is
White paint is hard to paint.
White
It's
paint.
very pigmented.
Coverage.
Yeah.
And it depends on the type of paint. It depends on the pigment and all that other stuff.
Yeah, but the thing is, I've had some great white paints that I've used, like the that Army Painter one that you have is phenomenal. But GW ones.
Then why don't you replace your GW white with Army Painter white?
Because I've got this.
Yeah, but I mean, like, you're spending money all the time on hobby stuff, you know, and we're at Noble Night all the time, so you could pick up another pot or two.
I could. I just haven't done it yet.
Chris says one of you should make your own music while the other works. Like sing, like you want me to sing? Some like elevator music type of stuff. Do 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 do. Actually, I should probably be careful because fuck knows what the sensors are going to pick up, what the algorithms will pick up. YouTube will be like, that's blah 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 by blah 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 published in blah 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 year. And I'll be like, the fuck it is. I was humming, I made some stuff up. I was going to tell you earlier when you had your hair down, it was kind of cool. You had like an Iggy Pop thing going on there for a minute. I was going to tell you to jump around a bit and say these lyrics, but I don't want to do that. Alright. I'm going to use...
Well,
so many choices.
Chris brought up a good point last time. Maybe I could jump around and he could sing the lyrics.
Oh, there you go. Chris says, whatever works for you. Beatbox. Bust out the Korg or the Moog. I could. Get the 808 set up. In fact, like Chris, you would have cracked up. I actually have it. I have the 808 programmed right now. To play the rhythm for Joy Division. She's lost control. And I was playing my bass to that. So I was trying to get Deacon to play the guitar, but he keeps like finding excuses not to bring his guitar down. It makes me very sad.
I do?
Yeah.
That sucks.
There's a couple of these that look
Holy
similar.
crap.
All good there?
Yeah, it is. It is just about 10. It's 9:56.
Oh, you're kidding me.
No, I'm not. That's
That time flew by.
It did. So, thinking keep it 2 hours tonight.
Really?
Yeah, it can go longer tomorrow.
Okay, I guess we could do that. Well, I mean, let's use this time. Like,
Yeah.
I have a couple more things here.
I need to look at what I want to do.
That's exactly what I was trying to get him to do, Chris. I was gonna tell him, gonna give him some of the lyrics from that song. It just, the way it was down, he had it all straight down like Iggy, and like the purple has pretty much gone out of his hair now, and so he's got like blonde on the ends of it. Like,
I wouldn't really call it blonde though. What's the
It's like strawberry blonde.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we got some color we're gonna put in there this weekend. This guy looks like Steve Lemberg. Wow. Stevel at Humble Night.
I didn't realize he had a name other
this
than
head
Stevel.
right here looks like Stevel.
Oh my god.
Oh,
That's
Steve, if you ever watch this, I'm sorry, man. I love you. I really do, brother. I mean it in a good way. I'm looking at this fawn head, and it's uncanny. The features, like, they could have used you as a model for this. It's really cool. Except for you don't have horns. That's the only thing. So,
I haven't seen him in a while. He might.
this is true.
Oh,
He just put out a good
dude.
article, in fact, for Noble Knight on.
I saw that article, and on a different note,
The virtues of the army painter spray paint for foam.
we are moving to England. It's at the Woolpack. It's homemade cured bacon.
Oh my god. That
Yeah.
looks fantastic. I love that pub. I love
Mhm.
that. That's a great place to go.
Cured and smoked.
Boy, this is indecision is the root of all evil.
That would, yeah, that checks out.
I just there's so many good heads here. I don't know what to use. Yeah, okay, and this one. Settled.
Nice.
Using the samurai method.
And that
7
method
breaths. Shouldn't take you longer than 7 breaths to make a decision.
Never heard of that before. Good for you, I guess.
I'm sure there are situations where that doesn't apply, like, you know, when applying for, like, a mortgage or a health insurance or... I don't know. So now, I want to carve some grooves in here. Concrete Blonde. You know, I don't know if he knows that band or not. So I'll
It's
have to...
it might be on the playlist that I threw together. Like I said, I went through whatever was on the drive, whatever was on the A35, and I honestly did not look at what band was doing what. I was looking at just, I like this song.
Yeah. So three really bizarre. It's a bizarre matchup, but like 3 good bands to play together. Porno for Pyros, Concrete Blonde, and Psychedelic Furs. And that makes for like a really good mix. And you put those 3 on shuffle, and it's I don't know, it works really well. It's the weirdest thing. Did Samurai have mortgages? No, but like if you were applying the concept to today, you know.
Yeah. All right, now it's 10.
Now it's 10.
Yep.
So a friend of ours from grad school just moved back to the UK. Daughter will be going back to college in Wales. That's awesome.
Nice.
So we have on Facebook we belong to several groups that are part. There's an inn called the Woolpack Inn, and they're up in the Lake District in Eskdale, Roman country. When the Romans were there, there's actually a fort up on the hill, a stone fort. There are ruins from that, and we go there quite a bit when we visit family over in the UK.
Why would you want to go to college? Sorry, I'm interrupting. Why would you want to go to college in Wales? Do they have, like... That seems very difficult. 'Cause Welsh is it's a language.
Yeah, I don't know that you'd necessarily have to speak Welsh to go to school there, unless you do, and then that's even more awesome.
That seems word for it, I guess.
But that's like, I think his name is Simon, that the medieval scholar I was telling you about, who has a YouTube channel.
He's Welsh.
Yeah, and I love it when he says the words in Welsh. It's really cool.
Anyways.
So yeah. So anyway, back to this. So okay, it's about 5. I'm sorry, I was just getting into this model building. So we're gonna call it a night here, and because we advertise from like 8 to 10, you know that we're gonna broadcast, but I could go on. I'm a night owl. I could go on for like, till I fall asleep practically. Deacon says he wants to wrap it up here. So we're going to do that. Want to thank everybody for watching. Thanks, Chris, and thanks, Aaron, for tuning in tonight.
Yeah, thank you.
Check us out on Instagram again,
Camera's
Instagram.com/Black Dragon Tavern Online.
Or just look us up on there, Black Dragon Tavern Online,
Yep,
same name.
absolutely. And follow us on Facebook, follow us on Twitch if you haven't hit that follow button. And again, next week we'll be broadcasting Thursday and Friday instead of Friday and Saturday, but we'll put that out on the socials and let everybody know. Until then, thank you all for tuning in, and we'll catch you soon.
See ya.